Hello friends, myself Dr. Dimple Dalal and I welcome you to another video by visual designers. In our society, sometimes we come across people who have deep empathy for the suffering of others. It does not end only by feeling empathetic. They actually do something concrete for the betterment of others. Some of the names that come to my mind are Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi. Can you guess the homeopathic personality of many of such revolutionaries? Yes, today we are going to discuss a personality of great many revolutionaries, that is Causticum.
Disclaimer. This video contains information on homeopathic remedy. The purpose of creating this video is to spread information and knowledge about this remedy. We strongly discourage any self-consumption of medicine without a qualified doctor's consultation.
Let's begin our discussion on Causticum. When we talk of revolutionaries, a picture may come to our mind of a leader standing on a podium and giving a great speech to a gathering of followers. Does that mean that Causticum have a skill of public speaking, or are they always extrovert, or are they good at expressing their ideas and motivating others? This is an important question as quite often we use these traits for identifying Causticum. However, this is not the complete picture. Well, Causticum personalities can be introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between. Let us understand the nature of introvert Causticum with a scenario. The introvert Causticums are usually mild, shy, and timid. They are very sympathetic, means they are very sensitive to the suffering of others. They are very caring and idealistic. They are sensitive to injustice and have a strong sense of justice in them. They cannot support injustice. They have a highly analytical mind. They come across as serious, intelligent, objective, and human. Their views are generally liberal. Let us discuss about the extrovert Causticum with the help of the same scenario. The extrovert Causticums are very passionate ones. They too are very sympathetic, caring, and idealistic. They have a strong sense of justice in them and cannot support injustice. They are very stubborn and obstinate. They have a certain mental rigidity due to which they doggedly pursue various causes. They are so dedicated to truth in many cases that they seem a bore to other people. Consequently, they are liable to be a loner, since they are too intense intellectually and morally for most people. So the most common qualities in both the types of Causticum individuals are deep empathy for the suffering of others and deeply felt sense of justice. Both these type of Causticum get frequently incensed by injustice. Their fight against injustice is impersonal and universally committed to justice and freedom. They don't have to be a victim personally to fight against the injustice. It is their nature. Now let us see how each of these types of Causticum reacts to the injustice happening in the society. First come the introvert Causticums. The introvert Causticums are withdrawn socially and express their idealism quietly through writing. For example, they will write letters frequently to the newspaper and to the prevailing authority, attempting to right social injustice. They are litigious individuals. Some Causticum may prefer a more spiritual approach like running a center for the homeless. This is again a silent way of helping others. Second comes the extrovert Causticum. They get very angry by injustice. They become quarrelsome and their anger is violent. They become very defiant and rebellious. They are the natural campaigners, since it is the Causticum's nature to fight injustice and the infringement of personal freedom. Causticums can become little fanatical in their zeal. Now can you imagine when does a Causticum individual enters a disease state? Since Causticums are so idealistic and sensitive individuals, they are prone to become disillusioned when the world does not respond to their vision. They feel deeply aggrieved if their campaign fails, since they feel so deeply for the oppressed. Such unsuccessful Causticums eventually sink into despair and bitterness. After a prolonged struggle and years of stress, Causticums are liable to become anxious. Causticum's pathological mentals tend to appear later on in life. Old age finds a lot of Causticums becoming more anxious and more withdrawn. The idealism of their youth is fading, and with it goes their self-confidence and their mental clarity. At first, the patient recognizes his inability to do anything, and then comes this foreboding that something is going to happen. There is tremorous anxiety, overwhelmed with fearful fancies. So we have seen that anxiety is a prominent feature of diseased Causticums. We understand the cause of anxiety, which may be failure to bring justice. But the main question here is what the Causticums are anxious about. One of the most characteristic forms of anxiety that the Causticum suffers from is a sense of dread that something awful will happen. They are always anticipating some dreadful event. It is as if all the years of watching terrible things happen in society and being unable to change them produces general expectation of disaster. This fear may take specific form as a fear that something will happen to himself or his family. It may lead to fear of death. Now let us see how can we detect that Causticum has become anxious, or in other words, how does an anxious Causticum behaves. Due to anxiety, they become very sensitive to the slightest adverse influence such as excessive noise or slightest bad news, and little things set their nerves off, resulting in trembling, agitation, and a mild state of panic. Causticum's nervous system thus becomes tense and hypersensitive as they get older, particularly if they have had stress in their personal life or with their health, and this deterioration may result in a downward spiral of ever-increasing anxiety, leading eventually to despair, sadness, and melancholy. Failure to realize their dreams is not the only stress which can lead Causticums to despair. Many Causticum people combine their social concerns with their personal life, and the loss of loved one can be devastating for them. They suffer from grief when they lose their loved one. Causticum's grieving is agonizing, since the image and memory of the departed keeps recurring in the mind, and the sensitive heart weeps with every memory. Those Causticums who have some cause to throw themselves into will recover far more quickly from grief than the others, who will continue to pine for years in some cases. Very often, the elderly Causticum become more anxious after the death of their spouse. The spouse was a steadying influence for Causticum. After losing their spouse, Causticum falls prey to foolish anxiety and ever-increasing confusion. They may feel afraid when alone at night. They have anxiety before falling asleep and may develop completely unrealistic fears such as that they are going to be evicted or that they have cancer when actually they do not. The more they think about their complaints, the worse they become. The constitution has been broken down with long suffering and much trouble, and finally the mind is in confusion. Elderly Causticum individuals are prone to confusion. It is the mental aberration of passive kind, where the brain has become tired. They are unable to think and consequently unable to carry on their business. They go into imbecility. There is weakness of memory and absence of mind. So this was our presentation on Causticum today. If you have found value in this video, please don't forget to like and share it with others. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do so now. Please comment and provide your valuable feedback. Thanks for watching. Bye.